Yo, what is going on YouTube? It is your boy GZTV, and man, it feels like it's been a while since I've recorded one of these movie reviews during the day. I know it looks really fucking weird, and it doesn't really fit the spooky vibes. It's supposed to be dark. But we are here to talk about the 2021 American supernatural horror film directed by Michael Chaves with a screenplay by David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick from a story by Johnson McGoldrick and James Wan. Here we have it, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. A movie that I went into expecting to be decent but not overly amazing. I saw critics were pretty mixed on it when it came out. It came out like 4 years ago, right? So my expectations weren't crazy high, but man, once I realized this was based on a real case, my interest shot through the roof. The Devil Made Me Do It case is one of the most fascinating real-life supernatural stories out there, and honestly, I had no idea, A, that case existed, and B, that this film was built around it. It is absolutely incredible. What really blew my mind was finding the actual tape recording that was at the end of this film. I had to go search on it on YouTube, and that was super disturbing. That was one of the big critical points of this movie that people were talking about is, wow, that was super fucked up. It's eerie, it's real. I don't know if it's real, like maybe they edited it a little bit, and it gave me chills even though it sounded a little goofy at times. HBO Max definitely like threw me off the movie and said, here, watch this and watch this, which was kind of stupid of them when I actually watched the film, but that should have been in the credits. That's one of the best parts. The movie kicks off fast, and I actually liked that. The opening exorcism scene is absolutely wild. It doesn't waste time, it just drops you right in. I get that they probably assumed that people already knew the real case, but even going in blind, I thought it was a strong and effective way to start. I was immediately into it. Let's get into the rest of this stuff. So getting into the premise, the story follows Arnie Johnson, who by the way is a real person in real life, a man who becomes possessed after a brutal exorcism performed on young David Glatzel, again, an actual kid that they were performing an exorcism on. Later, Arnie murders his landlord and claims demonic possession as his defense, which sounds kind of insane, and it's kind of symbolism for like being mentally unstable, and like that's kind of what psychological horror seeks to give us. But no, this was actually like a demonic possession that happened. This is the first time in US history anyone had ever used that argument in court. So when this was presented not only in the movie but in real life, it's not like they were looking at him like, you're a fucking idiot. It's like, we can't defend this. Ed and Lorraine Warren investigate, uncovering a satanic curse connected to an occultist who has been targeting people across the area, and that's an awesome angle as well. Now what I love most about this premise is that it shifts the formula, and we'll get into what I like and what I don't like here in a second, but just instead of another haunted house story, this is more of a supernatural mystery, almost like a detective film with paranormal flavor. I think that's really awesome. I like murder mysteries. I like horror movies that take that direction. Take Seven for an example. I love movies like that. It's a breath of fresh air. A haunted house structure can get a little repetitive, but this change gave the movie a pulse again, and I really liked it. I actually think it balanced the legal and paranormal stuff pretty well. It's not overly scary, but it's disturbing in a more psychological and real sense, and that weight hits harder because you know this case actually happened. I loved how the movie focused on love as a theme as well, not just horror. You have two couples here, Ed and Lorraine, and Arnie and Debbie. Both pairs face unthinkable darkness, and they get through it together. It's romantic in kind of a twisted way, and I loved that duality with this film. But let's get into what else I love. So getting into the good, I just wanted to talk about like the tone of this movie. I love how it's dark, grounded, and kind of less sci-fi ghost bending reality than some of the other Conjuring universe films. You still have the hallucinations and stuff, but we all know like he's rooted in the real world and we're not just stuck here. It's surreal knowing, again, it's based on true events, and that alone adds so much tension. I will say that a lot of times in the video, but I think that's what makes this movie so good to me. I know a lot of people are pretty mixed on this thing, but I think this movie's great because of that factor. The mystery / detective angle really hooked me. I was locked in for most of it. The performances as well were solid. I don't think they were like overly good, but I can definitely place them in this section. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga once again prove they are the heart and soul of this franchise. We know them to have good reputations in Hollywood. They are fantastic actors and actresses. They have insane chemistry, and they give their characters such warmth even in the middle of chaos. And Ruari O'Connor was a pretty nice addition here. He's kind of like a new actor in this franchise. He was pretty solid. He played Arnie, believable, vulnerable, and human. You could really feel his suffering and confusion, and it all kind of culminated as that. And again, just kind of referencing the exorcism at the start as a hook, that was fantastic. I think it was a good way to get the film started. A lot of the times what horror films do is they start the movie with kind of building stuff up. Like some of them will have like backstory and flashbacks and like years earlier, years later type of stuff. And this movie kind of did that, but the beginning was super intense, and one of the most intense parts of the film, which is really cool to see. One of the best openings in this entire franchise. Just kind of getting into some of the other stuff I like, just the visuals, the tunnel scenes, the altar visuals, the demonic visions. All of it was cool and fun to watch unfold. And even though the jump scares didn't go as hard as they could have, the tension throughout was steady enough to keep me invested. invested. I also really liked the villain, just getting into the occultist, I guess is what they call her in the casting. The priest's daughter. She was actually a strong and creative twist for this universe. Instead of a ghost or relic-driven story, we get something a little different here. An actual person being a villain, almost like a Jigsaw type of thing. Really cool. Real human being work with dark forces. Something that feels both believable and terrifying, and again, that gives this story levity because it happened in real life. Her design, her voice, her calm yet sinister demeanor. She's one of the more memorable antagonists this universe has had in a while. Now you have the Valaks, you have the Annabelles, you have some of those characters, but they're really not real things, and that's cool to see an actual person like throw herself in between, crossover between reality and the paranormal world. And I gotta say, her mind games with Lorraine were awesome. When Lorraine had the connection with her, she could sense her coming, like mirror her visions. That was pure creativity. That was really fucking awesome. Looked like something out of fucking Doctor Strange. It was really cool. Now with that being said, there are some bad things about the film. I think the pacing overall is a very weird thing. Everything kind of just happens at once in the last act. Sure, the demon is festering throughout, but it feels like they hit the gas hard once Lorraine figures out the altar location. And now we're just moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, racing towards the finish with what, 25-30 minutes left in the film? The transition from slow burn to rapid unraveling felt kind of rushed. I will say the plot is definitely, and the pacing is definitely rushed. And as much as I liked Lorraine overall in this film, her abilities felt a little too supernatural, and I know I said I liked her connection with the occultist, but her abilities, it bends believability, you know what I mean? Considering this is based on a real case, like, how did she suddenly become psychic enough to locate an altar miles away? It's a cool plot device, but it definitely stretches believability for this film. There could have been more character building as well. I feel like there's not a whole lot of time for that throughout this. Relationships are great. Arnie and Debbie have solid chemistry, but they needed more screen time. I think more human moments between them. And it really sucks that Arnie got locked away for killing this guy. Obviously, that's what happened in real life. So again, they can only do so much, but maybe have some like jail calls, maybe have some like real conversations instead of buffering. There's just too much time spent on moving the plot forward. I don't really know. The scares, I don't think they're bad. They're just not as strong as they were in the earlier Conjuring movies. I think this is a bit of a letdown in terms of the actual horror and the terror that Conjuring films normally give you. They're better than like a La Llorona, but nowhere near as terrifying as like The Nun, Annabelle Creation, even the regular Conjuring movies. Those are probably the scariest in the franchise. The tension is there, but it's not classic Conjuring tension, if you know what I mean. Lastly, while I love the occultist as a concept, there's definitely things with her that I don't like. The movie could have fleshed her out more. I think she's kind of just there in the background. They kind of hint at her with these visions. But we get the father backstory, but not much about how she got into all of this. Still, the shift from haunted house horror to broader cursed mystery storytelling was a major positive direction. I would think so. That's one of the more easily excusable, easily forgivable things that they went for with this. So getting into the okay, I think just how the movie looks overall is a mixed aspect for me. I mean, again, the tunnels and the satanic stuff in the altar, pretty visually impressive, like, but at the same time, some of the props look like some fucking Spirit Halloween shit. They work though, it's okay, it's an acceptable part of the film, nothing I'm gonna sneeze at, nothing I'm gonna rewatch this film and look forward to. I like the old school feel again though. I think that's the positive nature of this, is that we actually feel like that we are back in the 70s, that we actually feel like we're back in that Conjuring storyline. The maps, the analog TVs, the wallpaper really grounded you in the 70s, 80s vibe this series is known for, and I feel like that's something that The Curse of La Llorona, go watch my review on that, that's something that that film kind of took away from us, and it's nice to see this kind of return to form. The cinematography, lighting, again, just getting into the looks of the movie, the sound design was fine, and just like how they made the movie, how they directed it, how they curated, put it together. Not spectacular, but serviceable. Same goes for the score. It all supports the story without standing out too much. It's stuff that is just there. It's what a lot of mixed aspects are to me. And just getting into the ending, overall I'm a little bit mixed on it. The moment when the demon kills the occultist was great imagery. I think that was my favorite part of it. Poetic justice, really. I think that was a cool ass image. I like the way it all wrapped up neatly with the storybook ending narration and then that sinister real recording rolling over the credits.
What does that do to the whole system of law if a person can walk in and say, the devil made me do it?
In the name of Jesus, Jesus repels you.
Very chilling way to end a movie like this. I liked all that stuff. It's not overly impressive. Again, it's just kind of there. I do wish they used more elements maybe from the Warren's artifact room and getting kind of into how it connects to the rest of the universe. I think that's kind of a mixed element as well because they surely could have connected this a little better. I know Ed and Lorraine are kind of the powerhouses behind this whole thing, and yeah, that seems like it should be enough. The main storyline, it's not super connected to it, but what we got was fine there. I mean, it sits somewhere between a true continuation and a standalone side story. story. Not necessarily a bad thing, definitely not a good thing though, so that is my okay. Alrighty, so getting into the review, pull up the tier list, it is time. You guys know how these videos go, so kind of getting into my thoughts on The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. It might not be as scary as the first two, but it's still a strong and refreshing entry in the series. I still think it is a pretty good film. Now, am I overrating these Conjuring universe films a little bit? Now that I'm thinking about it, probably. But it takes the formula in a new direction, you add more emotional depth here, gives us one of the most interesting villains the universe has had in a few films now, and I think that is amazing. The occultist is really awesome. I'd love to see more of her. Obviously, she got kind of killed off when the curse ended and the demon found a host and it's her. It's got pacing issues. It's not quite as horrifying and it's definitely not perfect. Like, sure, this movie has its flaws, but as a true story-driven supernatural mystery, it absolutely works. And again, telling the true story. They do a really good job at balancing bending belief to fit the movie and really keeping it grounded to the real case. You know, you read about the case and you're like, that's how it actually happened. I think they did a pretty good job. The Warrens remain the beating heart of the franchise, and this film proves their story still has plenty left to tell with one more Conjuring movie left to go. Super excited for that. But with that being said, I will say this is an 8 out of 10. Again, I don't know where that falls on the tier list, but you can kind of look it up. Shout out to you guys for checking out the videos. I know not a lot of people are viewing my channel recently, having a lot of copyright issues, so YouTube's not really pushing the algo, but it is alright. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It has been your boy GZTV giving you guys these Conjuring universe film reviews all month long. Again, we have Last Rites, and then after that I'm going to get into some other horror movies because we still have 10 to 11 days at the time I'm recording this left in October, left in spooky season. We have a lot of scary movies, possibly 2 more. I have a lot of like newer releases that I want to watch, all on HBO Max. Shout out to those guys. We're going to get into that when we can. Let's go.